Hi, everyone. I'm Kristy, and I share tips, truth, and recipes to help you on your food journey and honoring God with your health and eating. And today I get to interview and have time and share this time with Natalie Auls, and I'm so excited. Many of you know her from all of her amazing sugar-free, flour-free cooking and sharing online and her cookbooks and all of that, and we'll get to talking about that. But Natalie and I met, well, today actually is my 6-year anniversary of Eating with Boundaries, which is really cool, super exciting. And we met about that time, I think probably 5 years ago, because I think you're about 5 years. Okay. And we met around that time and both just have the joy of the Lord in our heart and a real passion for getting food in its rightful place. Eating with Boundaries is simply putting some boundaries around food and 3 meals a day, real healthy whole food, measured, and avoiding sugar and flour. Food boundaries have been around since the 1960s. They were started with Overeaters Anonymous, and then in the 80s, Food Addicts program picked it back up. And along the way, program after program after program has used food boundaries and that original plan because it works. It's so successful. I had tried so many things to get food under control. Tried to moderate, tried to see food only on Fridays, or food, binge food, I should say, junk food, eat it all the time, but actual cheat days and things like that didn't work. I couldn't moderate. Natalie has a similar story and it's beautiful. We're going to talk about all the things, and particularly I want to hear how she comes up with these absolute incredible recipes. I love it. All right. Natalie was born and raised in Minnesota and was homeschooled along with her siblings. I homeschool my kids, so we have that connection too. She works full-time with her family at Love of God Family Church in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, leading worship, singing, playing keyboard and drums. She also writes skits and performs with the church's Blast Kids program. In 2019, she wrote and published her first cookbook, so 4 years ago, and that is called Weight Loss Recipes Cookbook, and has now written and published, ready, 26 more cookbooks, helping thousands of others all over the world discover the joy and ease of sugar and flour-free recipes. That's what it's all about. We don't have to cut sugar out of our life and think, oh, life is so sad. No, it has become so more joyous, so much more joyous. So you have that joy and you have done that. So how did you start coming up with these concoctions and recipes that turn out incredible? How did you first start that?
That is a great question. Well, firstly, congratulations on 6 years today. I love
Thank
it.
you.
We are celebrating our 5th year, October 10th. So just a couple days later. So that is so cool. We started almost around the same time. I love it.
Yeah.
So it was around like day 100. We were eating plain, boring baked chicken and like steamed broccoli. And I thought, I'm going to quit. I can't eat that boring food anymore because I will gag. I had seen on Facebook, because all these recipes come up, for these blondies. Now they had sugar in it and they had like chocolate and all that bad stuff, but they were but they were chickpea blondies. So I'm like, wait a second, I can make this, but make it in my food boundaries and without sugar. So I started experimenting. That was like the first recipe I created, and then I was hooked after that. So then just the excitement of putting together different ingredients and they turn out good. Like you wouldn't think beans and bananas and peanut butter would make something delicious, but it did. And
Mhm.
just the possibilities now are endless. Because you think when you cut out sugar and flour that, well, my life is over. Food is going to be boring. What do I eat? Cardboard? No, there's so many things. Just cutting out 2 ingredients. The possibilities are really endless. And it opened up a whole new world of different spices, seasonings, even vegetables that I would have never tried before that I really enjoy now. So I've really become adventurous from like a picky eater who would only eat like mac and cheese and chicken nuggets to somebody who's eating chickpea blondies now. So it has become really fun that way.
That is awesome. I think I've made that one because I thought, how in the world can chickpeas be good in a cookie or a blondie or something? It's amazing. It's crazy the things you can put together. And I mean, banana is the magic ingredient, at least when I'm cooking, creating recipes. That banana can change the taste of just a little bit. It's not even like you have to have a whole amount. Just a little bit can change the taste of everything and create that sweetness that you need. And when we
And
cut
it's
out,
perfect.
yeah,
It's perfect because I have some friends and they're like, well, I don't like bananas. But when you bake with it and when you like put it in with all the other ingredients, you don't taste, it's not like, ooh, that's banana flavored. No, like you said, it just gives the perfect sweetness to things.
right, right. Most people wouldn't even know that banana's in a lot of the things because it does not taste like banana. Same thing. I do that same thing. So let's back up a little bit. I know for me, when I came across the idea of food boundaries, I was desperate. I was at a place where I was willing to do anything. I just felt like I had prayed a desperate prayer and I said, God, I cannot get food in its rightful place. I have so many things going well in my life and I love you so much, but I can't stop eating. Like I couldn't. And then, of course, coming across food boundaries, realizing, well, I don't have to eat sugar and flour. So, okay. So I realized that was my rescue boat. And then looking back, I can see so much how the world, the food industry wants us to overeat, wants the addiction piece, the addictive foods, because we spend more money. If we're eating chips, we're going to buy more chips. We aren't going to have just one. And so I've learned so much about the food industry and obviously health. Just, I always knew it wasn't really good to eat those things. So when I came across it, I was absolutely desperate and like, yes, this is it. And I've never looked back. It has not been a perfect journey. I have not had a perfect journey. I've, struggled at times, but in a 6-year window, I've never once looked back and thought, oh, what's another plant? This is the answer. Hands down, no question. What did you think when you first came across the concept of the boundaries?
Yeah. So growing up, I was always kind of the chunky, overweight kid. All my friends were always the skinny kids, and I was the chunky kid. So it just kind of became normal for me to just, oh, this is just who I am. I didn't really think of it, but my mom, she went through that exact same experience as you said, where she was desperate. God was speaking to her that he said, your influence won't be as great for me when you're overweight just because of society. So
Yep.
she
True.
had tried everything and we tried it with her. I remember Slim Fast, Richard Simmons, working out, all
Totally.
that fun stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
I still remember some of those moves. Give me some love.
Oh my gosh. I love watching those videos. Totally. I still have the VHS. Seriously. Because I think it was so joyful. That's what I loved about it. There was so much
Yeah,
joy in that. But
so
oh, how
happy.
fun.
Yep. So we did that. That was our homeschooling Phi-Ed. Us kids loved it. So we tried all the things. Tybo, Slim Fast. My mom and sister did Weight Watchers, all that stuff, but nothing stuck until one day my God came to my mom and he said, I want you to go on Facebook. And this was during her time with God. And she's like, wait, that can't be God. So
Yeah.
she got in her phone and she saw this plan that was no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and that it didn't rely on your willpower. Like you said, all the diet like cycles and fads, they just rely on your willpower because they want you to lose the weight, gain it back, then
Yep.
buy a new program and then
Yeah.
keep going and going and going. And like you said, the Friday night cheat nights, those turn into Saturday and then Sunday. And then, hey, leftovers Monday. That's a hard day. You need to treat yourself. And then it just spiraled out of control because moderation just never worked.
Right.
So she found the plan and she signed up for the 14-day challenge and she didn't even tell us girls. And then she's like, girls, she called us into her room and she's like, girls, I did something. And she's like, we're doing this for 14 days. We're just going to try it. So me and mom, we had just done keto for 3 weeks. So I thought, 2 weeks, that's nothing. So I lost 10 pounds on keto, then gained 5 back because, that's how it goes. Because
Yeah.
then when you get rid of the boundaries, because it's not sustainable,
Yep.
you can only do it for so long, then you just gain the weight back and you do the what the heck effect and you just crash and burn. So
Absolutely.
we dove into the no sugar, no flour life and we have not looked back 5 years later. It has been just such peace and such freedom. I never knew my brain could be this quiet. It
Mm.
doesn't call for food all day. Because growing up, I just thought, well, that's normal. We did the best we could. That's what we thought was okay, was just eating the foods. And I never knew that normal brains don't call for food all day. Like treat now. How about treat now? Oh, look at that. Is it time to eat that now? That's not normal. I didn't know that. And now I have such peace and like mental clarity that I'm able to then fill it with other things like serving people, serving God. I put that in the right place. So now my priorities are straight, which is putting God first instead of food. Because how sad is a life just surrounded by food, that's the only thing in life? That's not a life to live. Now I'm actually living life and food serves me. And you still get to enjoy the food. But when
Mhm.
you give up something good, like sugar, it did taste good. But when you give up something good for God, He always gives you something great. It's
Amen.
always better to replace what you gave up. Yeah.
Always, always. One of my favorite pictures is one I've shared before is us, handing God a teddy bear, or a little girl handing God a teddy bear. And it says, "This hurts, God. This is painful to give this to you." And he's there in a profile. Behind his back is the same teddy bear, but massive, like this massive teddy bear. Well, it's about time to share that. I'll share that soon. And it's this side, she can't see what he has, but she's saying, "This is going to hurt."
Mhm.
And it's powerful because it does. There is a moment of, I have held on. This is my crutch. This is my thing. This is my idol. And I don't want to let it go because I don't know what it looks like without it. But you and I are both testimonies that it looks amazing, amazing without it, right? It doesn't mean every moment is simple, but it means that we know the answer and God is our strength as well in those moments. So you touched on something really, really interesting, and that I've thought, and I've heard people complain about it, the idea that, we live in this body positivity world. Now, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that right now, but the concept is, it doesn't matter if you're overweight or thin, all bodies are great. That is all true. 100%. That is true. Whatever our bodies do. However, if, and what your mom said is that she won't have the influence being overweight. That doesn't mean that God's not going to use us when we're overweight, but it's the same exact thought and belief that I have, that when I'm overweight, it means I'm in the food. When I'm in the food, I'm thinking about food all the time. I'm buying it. I'm planning it. I'm wondering how I can get more. I'm not thinking about how I can serve people, how I can speak, writing a curriculum to help other people, or whatever it may be, or in your case, writing cookbooks, coming up with ways to honor and serve others, or helping at church. When I'm overweight, I'm in the food. And when I'm in the food, I'm completely away from God's design for my heart, for my life, and for my mind. And so that's what it boils down to. And when I'm in the food and have all the excess weight, there's a level of shame that comes with that. And shame flourishes in silence. And there's silence among that, being quiet. I'm not going to get out there. I'm not going to put myself out there because I don't feel right about what I'm doing and how I'm behaving. So getting food in order has allowed me, probably your mom, probably you, to just, like you said, food serves us now, and we live, and we do, and we serve in all different ways, and with a clear mind, not a mind that says, when I'm done with this, I'm going to drive by here on the way home and load up and eat. Whole different world. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So obviously we know what made it click. The idea of, it's not a diet. It's a sustainable lifestyle choice. I mean, the amount of food that we eat, 3 abundant, delicious, lovely meals a day. There's over 200 varieties of vegetables, hundreds fruits. I mean, there's so much amazing food. So for me, I really had to get my eyes kind of like not looking back. I couldn't look back and think, oh, if I could only have a cupcake. Oh, if I could only have this. No, it's looking forward with this amazing plan and joy that I get all these foods.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard part for people, is when they think, oh, I can't have this. So how did you handle that? Or did you feel that at all at the beginning?
Oh, absolutely. When you start out, you literally go through a grieving process. And like you said, you're giving up something and you're like, this really hurts. It
Yeah.
really does. Because not only have we trained ourselves that food is how we comfort ourselves and treat ourselves and pamper ourselves, but now you got to find something different. And definitely it feels like if you focus on what you have to give up, constantly looking back, you're not going to go forward and you're not going to be able to make success that way. But when we focus on what we do get to eat, all the delicious things we do get, sometimes when Like if we're gonna have, we have a lot of teen nights and kids nights and stuff, and we give them like pizza and all that kind of stuff, which
Yeah.
I don't eat. So on those times where I'm like, oh, I might feel a little twinge of missing out. That day, I'll maybe put a little extra effort and make something more special for myself for breakfast, and which is still sugar and flour free, but it just kind of pampers myself. Or maybe I'll take extra time that day to just rest and relax and build myself up. Or I'll listen to more teaching that day to build myself up, to remember who I am, the strength that I have, who's in me, behind me, strengthening me. And then when that time comes that we're serving the kids, that won't touch my heart because I've built up that boundary then, and I've built up that comfort and encouragement and that strength again to be like, oh yeah, this is who I am. I don't even need that. And the kids, they're so sweet. We'll be playing games with them and they'll have some candy. They'll be like, oh, you want some? And then I go, oh, no, thank you. Or they'll be like, here, can you hold my candy while I go play this thing? I'm like, yes, I'm the safest person to hold this candy, because
Yeah.
now that I have put food in its right place, that doesn't have a hold on me anymore. I have not had a legit candy or dessert in 5 years, which is crazy to me to think. Because when we first started, I remember thinking it was like the first probably 2 weeks, maybe a month. I could not even touch with my mind. I couldn't think about, well, what about in the future? Like never having cake again at a party? What about Christmas? What about all the desserts and stuff? Never having pizza again? That's really scary. And that was really scary at that time.
Yeah.
But then I would just take it a day at a time. And then 2 weeks had passed, months had passed, 5 years have passed. And now I can look in the future, and that even pull and thought and desire of, oh, I can never have that again, that's not even there anymore. Because now I know on this side of it, all the delicious things we do get to eat. Like we can have cake for breakfast, we can have cake for lunch, we can have donuts, we can have pizza for dinner. You just make it a little bit different, but yet you're not missing out on the flavors, on the all the deliciousness of it. You're just skipping out two ingredients. That's it. There's only two ingredients we really have to give up. But
Yeah.
seeing other people struggling with it, you feel compassion for them because you know exactly what they're thinking, because you've thought the same thing, that, well, it's impossible to give up sugar and flour because it's in
Yeah.
everything. But
Yeah.
it's not. You just have to search a little bit harder and you can find so many things without sugar and flour. It's easier than you think.
Yes. Yes. It absolutely is. That's a big thing that I always say too. I understand it feels hard, it sounds hard, but it's not.
It's
It's
not.
not. What is hard is being so dang obsessed and
Oh,
wanting to lose weight and gaining weight and not knowing what to do, running the health risks that are going to come. That's hard. Like giving up
yes.
sugar and flour is not hard compared to that. Yeah, there's some challenges and a learning curve, but it's not hard compared to all of that. And if you even just had the mind piece and not even lost a pound, that would be worth it. If we could
Yeah.
just get our mind quiet. That's
Yeah.
unreal. I never knew I could have a quiet mind, just like you said. I didn't know. I didn't know. And it was the greatest benefit of all. So
Yeah.
do
And
you,
not just like quiet mind, but even walking into a room and not instantly thinking about, what do I look like? What am I wearing? How fat do I feel? All just the, what are they thinking about me? But just being able to walk into a room and actually be present in the moment and not just constantly insecure, which is really actually so selfish because all we're thinking about is ourselves. But being able to be like, oh, how is that person feeling? Oh, how can I help them? Oh, look, that person looks like they're lonely. Maybe I can help them. And when you're serving other people and loving other people, there's so much more fulfillment in that than trying to just fill your life with food to just comfort yourself and make yourself feel better. But when you're serving others, that not only helps them, but it lifts you up at the same time, which is so cool because God does that every time. When we serve Him, He then comforts us and gives us all the things we need to then serve Him more. Yeah.
yes, yes. Amen. He does. He does. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you want to share how much you've lost?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So I've lost, it's been about 90 pounds now. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's just a whole world, it's a whole life different. Like it's entirely different. What, like you said, what you can wear, what we think about, it's just different. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is.
What is your favorite non-scale victory? You've already shared them throughout, just all the little unintended things, that happen when we do this. But what's a strange non-scale victory of something unexpected that came from it?
I was just so shocked after losing the weight that I could actually do the things I've always dreamt I've wanted to do. I've always being homeschooled, we weren't in like sports and all that kind of stuff. My dad ran some soccer camps and that thing, so we would kind of dabble in a little of that. But when you're overweight, it's hard to join in on those things. So I've always wanted to do running, but I never thought I could. So it was maybe about 2 years ago, I started dabbling. I got an app that was like couch to 5K, and I'm like, let's do it. So I got on my treadmill and I started kind of working on that. And now I'm running and I love it. And I'm lifting weights and just seeing my body, the things that I've always wanted it to do. I'm able to do that now. Like I'm not running marathons. That's not in my goal plan. That I will leave that to the experts, but
Mhm.
I will just run like a couple miles here and there, thinking that, oh, I could never run a mile. I've never run a mile in my life, but now I am like consistently. That has really shocked me.
Wow, that is cool. That is fun, right? You would never think that. And then it just, because when you don't feel good and you have that excess weight, it sounds awful. Like we're seeing people run, they do that for fun? What?
I used to make fun of runners. I'd be like, why does that look fun? You see their faces just red and sweaty. And I'm like, that's not fun. And now I'm one of them.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, that's great. And our bodies love that stuff. Our
Yeah.
bodies were designed to eat well and move. Like that's how God created us. And we weren't ever designed to just sit stagnant and eat this addictive food and, dare I say, poisons. I'm going to say it because it's
Yes.
toxic. Some of the foods that we're eating, it's not even real food. And trust me, I was eating it all the time. And so I'm not judging the person doing it. I'm just saying it's frustrating that we get hooked really on Cheetos. That was a
Yeah.
big one of mine. Ate it
Yeah.
all the time. And now when I look at a bag of Cheetos and I look on the back and I look at the dyes and all it's not food. It's
Yeah.
food. And so it's frustrating because I know it wasn't our fault. It's, if you're listening right now, it is not your fault. You're just the food manufacturers have designed food to make it very attractive, very quick, appealing to our mouth, to the texture, to our to eating. It makes it very attractive.
Mhm.
And Natalie and I can both tell you it's so much more attractive to actually eat real food and so good. But there is a process. There is a little learning curve. And let me tell you, between Natalie and I, we can walk you through that. We can help you follow both of us. And then in a moment, I want you to share where everybody can find you, and your cookbooks and all of that. But I love to share videos. Natalie and I both share videos of different cooking things. I share just different scripture, encouragement. I do coaching. Natalie has all of her cookbooks. There are resources for you to succeed in victory. This is not a joke. This is not a temporary thing. We have 11 years between us. That's a ton of time. I was thinking we have 6 years. No, between us, we have 11 years of living this lifestyle of sugar and flour freedom, and having freedom in our brains and quiet mental chatter, and just having this space that is lovely and wonderful. And we can live life, serve people, serve our families, honor God with our health, and just be well. Just be
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So that is amazing. When I said it like that, it was 11 years. Wow. But that is true. That is true.
It's
So what
just
is,
amazing the health benefits of when you cut out sugar and flour, because they say disease, sickness, cancer, that all feeds on sugar.
yeah,
So I've seen friends and all the things, and what's the first thing that they give a patient on cancer because they don't want them to lose weight? They'll give them ice cream and sugar. And I'm thinking, no, you're feeding that disease.
yeah.
I have just the health benefits themselves. I used to growing up because we did the best we can, like you said, we didn't know that all you kind of knew in the back of your brain that yes, sugar was bad, but you didn't know how bad it was. So we ate those things, and I used to deal with chronic stomach aches,
Mm,
chronic migraines,
yeah.
headaches, just feeling horrible all the time. And now all of that's just gone. I don't deal with any of that. And just that health benefit is worth it in itself. Even without losing the weight, that's just worth it in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm
What?
sure you have. And I've worked with people who don't even have a weight problem. And I'm sure there's many people who have bought your cookbooks and have started eating this way, not even having a weight problem, but just realizing I think about food all the time and I'm unhealthy and I just want food well, quiet, and healthy. And this is the solution. Now, it obviously, if you need to lose weight, you're going to lose weight because it's just really good for your body and your body wants to shed that. So what is your favorite meal to cook? If you're putting meals together, like on your recipes, what's the easiest, funnest, simplest, favorite one to come up with? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
Oh man, that is, I think, the hardest question ever asked. I never knew this about myself. Just this weight loss journey, I have discovered so much about myself I never knew. But I found out I am a variety junkie. I like variety. I like the change. That's one thing that I really love about this meal plan and this way of eating is it changes it up so much because
Yeah.
each meal is different from each other. So if I'm like, oh, well, breakfast fruit is like the star of the show at breakfast. It's like
Yeah.
sweet, delicious. I like it so much. Like you can have cakes, you can have uh just like parfaits, all that fun stuff. And
Yeah.
then lunch, you get both. You get the sweet and savory. You get to put it together. Just the possibilities are endless. And then dinner is just this bountiful, beautiful meal of savory goodness. You can have like soups and pizzas and casseroles and all the things. And it's just so fun. I like all of it. I
Yeah.
enjoy
Okay.
making every single one.
Wow, you have just summed up the food plan beautifully. Exactly. Each meal of the day. And that's so true. That's the beauty. That's awesome. So then my next question was going to be, what is your favorite meal of the day to eat? And it sounds like it might be all of them.
All of them.
Awesome. Me too. I often think it's breakfast, but then when I get to dinner, I think I really love having a big, bountiful, beautiful dinner. So it's fun to mix it up, have that variety. I love it too. So
Yeah.
what would you say? So two things. The first thing, what do you say to somebody who's afraid to start this sugar flour free journey?
Yeah, that's a really good question. People will ask me this and I said, the hardest thing is just starting something. You can get all the information, but if you don't do it, then you're not going to get any benefits from it. So you just we just dove in. We got the supplies
Yeah.
we needed, which is just a food scale. Maybe like we wrote down our first day, we got like notebooks and we wrote down what we were going to eat that day. And then we just dove in. Because if you think about it too much, you're going to get cold feet. It's kind of like getting into a pool the first time. If you go in slow, trying to warm up, that's harder than just jump in. Just jump in.
Yes.
Just do it. Because once you
100%.
start, you're going to be hooked.
Yes, 100%. I agree. That's exactly what I did. I thought, okay, and I love this. I love this part of my story, how it just is that I started on a Tuesday, October 3rd. So it was not a Monday, just some random Tuesday, because on Monday I was like, I am done. I need this plan. I need to have these boundaries. And it was clear to me that's what God was calling me to do. So I didn't delay. On Tuesday, I'm going to tomorrow. I'm going to go get my stuff right now, get my notebooks, little dollar store notebook, And I did. I jumped right in. I was like, okay. And I remember the last meal the night before thinking, oh, this is going to be hard. My last meal. Heck no. That next morning really was my first meal of the rest of my life, not this last supper. But that's how we view it. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of us have massive Sunday night binges? It's so common because Monday morning, oh, all this stuff has to be gone. So I'm going to eat the rest of the cookies, the cake, the chips. I mean, no, the first meal of this plan was the first meal of this rest of my life that I have this freedom that I didn't even know about. What do you say to someone? Because I know you have support in your house. You had your mom and your sister, and that's big. My family was very supportive of me because I said, this is what I need. I have a problem and I need it. And they're like, cool, we'll help you. What do you need? Because that's just what we do for each other. If any one of us said, I have a problem with this, we're going to say, okay, what do you need? So I had that as well. Not everyone has that support. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it if you don't have support. You do the right thing regardless of who's supporting you. But how do you encourage someone who doesn't have as much support as you and I both seem to have?
Yeah. It's really, you have to want it. You have to have that desire, because even we have each other as support, but we are not the food police for each other. We're not standing over each other's scale being like, that's over a point, you better fix that. We don't do that. We're each on our
Yeah.
own journey. So a lot of people are
Right.
like, oh, well, you're just so lucky having a sister mom with you. But really, we're all doing this our own self. And when you
Right.
dedicate yourself and you're like, I'm going to do this. But yeah, if you
Yeah.
need support, a lot of times, I remember when I started out, I was on the recipe page and I was on the Facebook pages a lot because I would love seeing the inspirational pictures. I remember seeing you on there, Kristy, and being like, girl, if she can lose the weight, I can too. And just being so inspired by that, it would just rejuvenate my let's do this. I still love going on Instagram and Facebook and just seeing the before and afters because it just
Yep.
reminds me of, oh, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. And those
Yeah.
really inspire me. And then seeing recipes and just being excited after you finish your meal. If you're feeling, oh no, I'm feeling like missing out, being excited for your next one because it's coming, because you get 3 of them a day. And then after dinner, then you're like, oh man, a midnight snack. No, think about your delicious breakfast you're going to have the next morning. So there's
Yes.
just so many things. It's how we view it.
Yep.
If we're going to view it that it's going to be hard, it's going to be a struggle, that I can't do this, then you won't be able to. But you have to change the way you think to, I can do this.
Yeah.
This is made for me. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to win this. And I'm going to do it every day. And this is going to work for me. And it's going to be fun. You can have fun the whole
Mm.
time if you change the way you think. Because
Yeah.
really, you're only one thought away from a good day. And how do you change your thoughts? With your words. You can be standing at that scale thinking, what am I going to make today? And say, this is fun. When you get out all your ingredients and you're going to cook something, just tell yourself, this is fun. And the more you do that, the more it will become fun.
Right.
So really, it's enjoyable if you make it that way.
Yes, you're totally right. I love that. I love that. And it's so true that even though I have the support of my family, I still am in the car by myself. I still could go make a poor choice. I could still say, forget this today. And so you're absolutely right. And that was, in my mind, I think, gosh, having support so helpful. And sure, it's helpful. But the bottom line is it's me, myself, and I, and my relationship with food, my relationship with God. And am I going to do this and surrender or not? So you're absolutely right in your home. And I bet people have that perception that, oh, it is easier for you, but you know what? It's not. So if I've had that thought, I'm sorry, because it's not. Bottom line is each of us are responsible for what we put in our mouth, or if we weigh a little extra, or if we become a little wobbly with the boundaries. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was good. Well, I love watching you cook, I have several of your cookbooks, love, love, love it. And I want you to tell people where they can find you and how to get your stuff.
Great question. You can find me on all the social medias. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, all the places. And there's recipes on all those. There's recipe videos, just inspirational things. Then you can find everything on my website, which is weightlossrecipescookbook.com. You can find recipes, recipe index, food galleries, all the things to kind of get a sneak peek of what's inside. And also, my cooks are all on Amazon too, which is a fun place to go. Yeah. So you can find all
Awesome.
the things there.
Good. I'll put the places in the comments so everyone can know where to find you too. So, well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. It's been awesome.
So much for having me, Kristy. This has been
Okay.
such a lovely chat.